Hi everybody, welcome back. Last time we got started on the styles. There are some to-dos that were left for you, but the basic layout is in place. Now we need to work on the internals of these cards. One of the first things I am going to do again is to get rid of the stuff that we need to get rid of on the list. So margin 0, padding 0, and list style type none. So I just applied it to the element so you can actually see the difference. It makes a significant difference, especially with the padding and the list items. And so it's good to remove it so you can really see how the layout's going to be, to remove it sooner rather than later, I mean. All right, then what do we need? Well, look at the card and note that above the title, there's no space. Below it, there's 32 spaces, 32 pixels. So we need top margin 0, bottom margin 32. We don't need any padding around the card because the elements are right up against it. So let's actually go to VS Code here. And the card list element, card list, we needed this stuff. The card title element, we need a margin top of 0 and a margin bottom of 32 pixels. All right, looking pretty good. Now, between these elements, between the list items, there should be 16 pixels between each of them. Now, these are not paragraph elements. If you did make them paragraph elements, well, then you would have to deal with the default margins. But if you made them list items, there's no default margins to deal with. And we don't need to use margin at all. We can just use gap on, let me refresh, yeah, there. We can use gap on the parent of 16 pixels. No, we can only do that if we make it a flex container, which is what I will do. Flex and then flex direction column. Now there is 16 pixels between each of these elements. We could also have used margin, but if we used margin, we would have to do something like nth of type to remove it from the last of the elements, and that's just a little annoying to me, so I would generally prefer display flex. Right, it was here. There were different numbers of elements, but you'll handle that when you update the text. So that's most of it. We just need to get the list items looking the way that they should. Now, give it a try. Read through the instructions one more time, and then try and figure this out on your own. And then if you and then unpause the video, and you can see how I do it. So we need to turn it into a Flex container. So we'll start with that. Let me go back to the browser. I'll just do it here on the element display flex, which, why is that capitalized? Which has no apparent effect. But now what if we try justify content space between? Well, so that's closer. And then what if we give a bottom border bottom 1 pixel solid black? I'm not sure if that's correct. So here, the border bottom is not appearing. And the reason is because this element has no width. To make it grow, we can use the flex grow property. Flex grow 1, the default is 0, which means don't grow. If by setting flex grow to 1, we tell this one to grow as much as possible to fill in the space. Since the other ones are 0, it can take up all the space. If other ones had a non-zero flex grow value, wait, we can't really demonstrate that because these are just text items. But if one of the other children had a non-zero flex grow value, it would be proportional, so they would share the space. But here we've got the divider just taking up all the space. Now, if you're paying close attention, you'll see that there's a little bit of space here. We don't give a specific pixel value for that, but it's important to start picking up on things like that. You could do like a margin left and right on this thing, but I think a gap seems good to me. Let's see, what does 12 pixels look like? Yeah, that's good enough. Or maybe 10. In starting in the next sprint, you'll have access, you'll be using a real design document where you'll be able to get all the measurements. You'll be able to basically point and click and get all the different measurements. And you won't have all these explicit step-by-step instructions. You'll just use the design document to help you know how to build things. That's more how it's done in the real world. So there's that. We can copy, and that was on the list item, correct? Card list item. And then on the divider, we needed a border. Let's see, do we have that specified somewhere? It might just be in the color section. Input borders and placeholders. No, it doesn't look like it is. I thought that we had that specified somewhere. But we can see that it looks, it's probably just black. Black and 1 pixel is a reasonable guess. That does look a little darker, but let's just go with that. So maybe it's that 838383 color. Border, bottom, 838383, solid 1 pixel. Flex grow. Flex grow 1. Yeah, that looks good, right? Yep, I think that's good. So obviously, there are still some details that need to be taken care of, but I think I covered basically all of them in the to-dos. Make sure to read through these instructions carefully in case I am missing anything. But I think, oh yes, of course, there are the fonts. You know what? Let me demonstrate something with these fonts because we actually have we're using 2 fonts here. So here, I'm going to copy it and see if it works for me. That's for the menu title. Now, we don't really need the font style normal. That's the default. The default font weight is 400, so we do need to specify that. The font size and line height, yes, we need to specify it. Inter, we don't want to just have the inter font, and I'm going to show you why. Let's go to HTML. You haven't really seen this before, but this is a link that sets up the fonts. Um, you'll learn how to set up fonts a little bit later. It's actually these 3 links. Basically, you just go to a website, find the fonts you want, copy it, and paste it in here. But say that there is a problem with the fonts, and you just have this font family of Inter. Let's go to here. Do you see how different this text is? Um, and now watch what happens if I put some fallbacks like this. Now, even though we don't have those styles, we still see a font that at least looks pretty close to Inter. It looks a lot closer than it did before. So that's why it's important, so that you always have some appropriate fonts. And we could do something like and we would do something similar with the subtitle, which uses nodo serif, except we would use uh, different backups, because you see how different. This is a serif font. This is a sans serif font. So we would use, paste that in. We can get rid of these normals. We could use Times New Roman. Honestly, I really don't like Times New Roman. Serif we should always have. That's like the system default. So if all other fonts aren't found, then it falls back to the system default. So having the appropriate system default, that's a requirement. I don't think we don't even require a second one, but often the designer would want you to have a second option there. But so that is how you handle the fonts. Handle the rest of fonts for menu and card blocks. And so that's everything. You got a little bit more work done, a little more work to do, but join me in the next video and we will start on the final section that you'll be doing.